Cloverfield universe is about possibility. It's about the fact that anything could possibly happen. And the joy of what the Cloverfield experience does is it does take you on a journey where literally anything could possibly happen. The most insane things that you could see could happen right in front of you. And that in and of itself organically led to what a Cloverfield movie is and how this movie could fit into the universe.
Astronauts here seated and hard at work at their controls. Schmidt, male German physicist, intense and a bit of a dick. Tam, female Chinese engineer, brilliant and wickedly unpredictable.
Com uplink 64246. Uplink confirmed.
I think I first started writing this in 2008 or 2009, and it was right around the time the Hadron Collider was being built. And I remember there being a lot of stuff in the news where people were kind of panicking about what was going to happen when they turned it on, because it was cutting edge and people felt like they were pushing sort of the boundaries, and there was a lot of kind of paranoia that we were going to turn this machine on and the universe was going to unravel or the world was going to explode. And I just thought it was sort of a fun notion to play with, was the idea of a bunch of scientists turning on a device and having the actual Earth disappear.
Commander, big day. Yes, it is.
Volkov, where are we?
For me, the fun of science fiction is that you take these sort of insane situations and put human beings in them and see how each human being would react.
That allows us to explore things that are fun and exciting and dangerous and scary and just powerfully cinematic, but also powerfully human. And in doing so, it was very important that we stayed nimble in how we walked the line between the science fact of the story and the science fiction of the story.
It's all based on what scientists are theoretically, you know, maybe this could happen if such and such happened, and they'll present various different possibilities, and then you just try and keep it in that zone where it's possible.
Commander, on my count.
3, 2, 1, come on.
It's not a hard science movie, but it's about what could happen if this thing went off in the most out there, crazy direction, and then how would that ultimately come back to telling a human story.
Schmidt, tell me something.
And on top of that, you have the sort of fun, heightened genre world.
What the hell is happening?
Being in a different dimension and having to deal with everything you know about reality coming apart, and just that level of stress. And it might make one person crack a joke, it might make one person lose their mind, it might make one person paranoid, it might make one person, you know, sort of steal themselves and just get on with business.
This is also going to double as our interstitial, so obviously there's a lot of action that happens here in terms of people running. So while this is used as hallway to get between some of our spaces, it'll also turn over to the interstitial set that's much more industrial, and it's used to get primarily to X deck, but then also to move between the circular rings. That's interstitial, and then also hallway. So I think this is going to be a really cool and versatile set.
I love movies. I love the movie-making process. Every element of it, each part of it is extremely important, and every part of it is codependent to make something that really works. And the collaboration with the crew, for me on this movie, first started with Dan Mindel, who is a genius.
We wanted to give Julius the opportunity of having a lot of freedom to shoot in any direction with minimal lighting, so most of the lighting is built into the set. It allows us to be much quicker than we ordinarily would be on a giant-sized movie like Star Trek. So the down and dirty nature of the set sort of translates into a more rustic workplace that's out in space, and we wanted it to feel a bit grubby and used and not particularly plush or sexy like the Enterprise or any of those kind of things.
And Dan was always there to lean on as a real creative partner in envisioning the world of this movie, in envisioning the texture, the colors, the tone.
I'm really excited to see what happens with this because the look and feel is really quite different, I think, from anything we've done in space so far.
We're starting with this on Friday. That is the entrance. This will be green screen going all the way around and up. That is the X-Deck, that large central core that's going on as far as the eye can see, up and down.
The first step for me in working on a movie is to try to absorb it, not as a production designer or a visual consultant or any actual role that I'm going to do on the movie, but to just absorb what I feel and think it is from the script itself.
Rick Carter blew my mind. You know, here's a guy who's worked with some of the greatest directors of all time, and he just has a mind that operates in a completely different level.
In this particular movie, I was not the production designer. Doug Meerdink is the production designer. I was acting as more of a catalytic, hopefully, inspiration for various people to come together and then see what was there to be mined in the areas that the movie was already indicating. And so it was really up to Doug and the art department, and then Dan Mendel, cinematographer, and everybody to bring to bear what they really thought they could do on the day.
He participated in some of the early meetings of sort of the conceptual and theoretical approach to story. As a voice in the room, really opened us all up to a lot of ideas and possibilities. And I think because he, on the day-to-day side, wasn't engaged in the material in terms of the prep and the shoot of it as much, he really could come from a place of looking at it from a broader view and what the story might be. And it was great to have him to participate with and help in the way he is able to guide story.
I think one of the things that I enjoyed the most is that sense of grasping that there's a there. And even when the script was changing and developing, that we had to kind of create that there on the Paramount lot in a couple of stages, because it was always going to be someplace that they could bring the process of making the movie at a certain date, as long as we had a set there. And so very early on, we realized that we needed to make sure there was a sense that the Helios really was a place. And Doug and his team came together, and with illustrations and some collaging and lots of discussion, we came up with a kind of look for a space station. I think it does not call attention to itself in any way where you say, oh, what's that? That looks like that's weird. It's, oh yeah, I think I understand what that is. At the same time, it has to function in such a way that you feel like people could have been there for a long time. And they actually, the important part is that they have a dynamic with one another, particularly when there's people that are no longer the version of themselves quite. That duality is always a little bit present in how the set is able to be used. Both as normal and then sometimes being a little bit different than it would, particularly when it starts to get into situations where the drama actually starts mangling the set, meaning everything that's happening to a person starts happening to the set.
Help me! We're here. We've got you.
The Helios has 3 primary rings that rotate around the interstitial, and those are the R deck, and that's the main living area, the common area for the crew, and those sets that we had in the R deck are a common living space that includes a kitchen, includes a dining area, includes the communications area and rec area. It's where they live life when they're not doing the work they're doing. And our deck also has the living quarters. M deck is our sort of control area, technical area. And we also have the maintenance ring, which is sort of the guts of the ship, the inner workings of the mechanics of the ship. And then finally, what that is all tethered to is the Shepherd with particle accelerator, and that's the largest gesture on the Helios. It's the giant ring at kind of the top of the structure, and that's where our X deck is. That's where the crew enters on and works on this giant linear accelerator.
It's been fascinating. I've never done a movie before which is solely shot on a soundstage. So, everything is a build. There's no sort of locations. And it really helps with your performance, I think, to feel that you are in this environment that's authentic, certainly to the reality that we're creating.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
we first find Jensen in the wall, I think that's the first anomaly that all the astronauts encounter.
There's a lot of fun to be had if the station, in going to this other dimension, just sort of occupies the same space as some alternate version of this station in this other dimension. But, you know, who's to say how clean that jump would be?
They enter into the world of particle entanglement, and basically two dimensions collide with each other. There's like an overlap.
And in the process of one station occupying the space of the other station, a woman who was on that other station sort of walking along finds herself instantaneously right smack in the middle of a wall in the middle of a space station.
Shepard smashed a Higgs boson. Overloaded. Somehow you ended up here. It's been a really complicated thing to play as an actor as well, because you have to get your head around what is real in this dimension and what isn't in the other.
And it's really fascinating for me. I'm such a fan of anything slightly surrealist, and you know, the idea of, you know, sort of tearing the fabric of reality and what the implications are for that, and it sort of opens up this sort of schism between two dimensions. It sort of is mind-blowing, the idea that it's possible.
I met a couple of physicists at UCLA who are specialized in this field, who are dealing with dark matter and quantum entanglement, all these theories that are there.
I did my version of trying to sort of understand it. I kept saying to Julius, our director, is there not like a particle physics for dummies? You know how they have like whatever for dummies? I thought there's got to be something out there that can break it down for us, because it's really quite complex.
Guys, the worms are gone. All of the anomalies are cool and unusual, which is, I suppose, why you would call them an anomaly.
The one that is most sort of outlandish and, in a sense, fun to react to is the arm.
Where's my arm?
Chris O'Dowd walking around with his green sleeve all the time with like a limp arm. We're joking about this arm. That might be my favorite thing.
And luckily, they chose an arm that was slightly more muscular than my own, which I really appreciated.
My name is Kyle, and I'm the stunt arm. So as you can see, I've got my arm and another arm. And I stick my arm up through a table, and that lays up on top, and voila. My hand can move around and be the action, and looks like it's a severed arm just laying up on a table. Movie magic.
When I read it, I was like, how the hell are we gonna make this work? And this is so, like, you know, it could be easily really cheesy. And then when we did it, it put us in this world where I think we all aspire the film to be in, and we felt that.
Come on, Monk. Sorry, are you not gonna do anything? I'm gonna. He's really dead.
And then Volkov's death, with strange things coming out of his body.
God, your face, Axel.
These are all very, very spooky, horror-like aspects that I personally love.
Well, we found the worms.
The fun of space station movies to me has always been that everything is just condensed into one tiny place, and you sort of put the Bunsen burner underneath it and turn up the flame and just see what happens.
It's so rare for an audience to be able to walk into something and have no idea what to expect, but to still leave with potentially some ideas they didn't imagine they would be contemplating because of that being organically baked into this Cloverfield experience. It allowed it to evolve in a way that it could be a part of the larger Cloverfield family very seamlessly and give the audience that kind of experience that, you know, I don't think we get often enough.